Well, good morning, as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful morning, um, Wednesday morning, February 19th, year 2025, here at the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there that make it your business and um, concern to enhance and fortify this concept, as we realize constantly that indeed, for some evident and otherwise reason, it needs that kind of special proper TLC to also teach ourselves indirectly in the process not to take it for granted. And maybe even at the end of the day, yes, to take it for granted because that says that it's in abundance and available. And maybe it wants to us to indulge in the fact that, you know what? Um, life is good. Something to that. Bob Sullivan is here with us. And this is number 5.
Maybe,
Woo-hoo!
you're right. It's 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Who's counting it?
Who's counting? Yeah, but at some point we should stop and count and kind of so we'll kind of be.
We'll have a party.
We'll have a party. Here we go. I don't have chocolate today, so I won't be teasing you.
Wait a minute, you don't have what today?
Chocolate.
Oh, you don't. Yeah, you won't be tempting me. Huh?
Yeah,
It's okay.
you're going to surprise me with some kind of.
I was, but I ate it. I said, I wonder if there's any good. I was like, it's okay. It was okay. It wasn't great.
It wasn't. No.
It wasn't as good as I hoped it was going to be.
So I thought maybe coming back from your trip, you stop in a precious place and get the host of the Hello Hello Show some chocolate.
No, I didn't do anything like that.
First of all, commending you for the wonderful art that you created. Now I get to see it like there's drama involved, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Wonderful, like this.
Yeah.
We'll
put it down here.
I like the fact that you are showing all the subject matters and all the ingredients in a suggestive way, in a minimalistic. I think it takes some um, courage to do that.
I think it's a good example of you got to know the rules in order to break them. If you are breaking the rules, but you really don't know that you are breaking the rules, it's not very controlled. But if you, for example, what I was going to say is I have been for the last 10 years doing a weekly figure sketching session, 4 hours a week.
With yourself or with a group?
With a group.
Oh, good.
Groups are very important. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the importance of the group. But the importance of the understanding the figure and the nuances, studying it a little bit and understanding like one of my teachers explained that the human form is a series of curves. There's not really straight lines. Even the bones, like your shin bone, has a curve to it. And
but the shadow has straight lines, though.
Oh, well, that's a shadow, but not on the human.
The shadow
figure.
of the curve has a straight line.
Okay, I'll debate.
We'll get to it. I mean, it's too early in the discussion to bring that to the forefront.
But what I'm doing here with this painting is when I'm describing a thigh or an arm or a hand or I'm taking liberties with it. I'm breaking the rules because I'm doing it in a way that doesn't really show any contour. It doesn't show the surface. It's a silhouette. It's a pure silhouette. And however, that silhouette can be very descriptive.
It can very telling.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to kind of create a sausage-like appendage that, might be an arm, it might be a leg, it might be, anything. And it's another to put in a little bit of descriptive information about the nature of the object I'm trying to portray, be it the let's say the calf, that is accurate, some details that are accurate in order to, in my opinion, have the viewer recognize it, have the viewer immediately relate to what it is I'm trying to say, to describe.
Yeah, and if
You know,
it's dwelling,
right
let the
away.
dwelling be in the realm of the basics, because I think that how do you? Because on one hand, you have to be able to introduce yourself to the painting or to the attempt
Yeah.
as accurately and as much as possible, really. Almost like saying, because you reminded me when you said I want to talk about the group. It's amazing because I was thinking about Alan Plants, the poet, very well known, very a great figure that passed away,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, a couple of years, no, 5 years ago or something. And he mentioned that group that in Southampton that he used to attend. He didn't have to attend any groups. He was a
No.
master.
No.
So I was surprised to hear that he values it. He
Yeah.
says, I like it because it's the number one challenge to my ego. So I
Uh-huh.
go there and I allow people to touch my poem that otherwise I consider sacred.
I got you.
And I definitely don't want you anywhere near
Correcting,
my
editing.
poem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need
Playing
your
with it.
help. Thank you. I love you,
Yeah.
but I don't need your help.
Right.
But on the contrary, and then he said what happened is also that the group started really appreciating the
Yes.
fact that I'm there.
Yeah. That, sure.
And so there was something ongoing and meaningful taking place all the time. But apropos what you were saying, nobody can teach you not to dwell, how not to dwell too long or too much. It's
Uh-huh.
something that comes from who you are. And
Uh-huh.
so what happens, you realize at the end of the day, your breakthrough spells that you having suddenly more time to paint. Not more time by adding time, but more time by using the time that you're already there,
Yeah.
strictly to painting.
Yeah. Using it.
So the less you dwell, the more time of the time that you have available for it will be used to paint hands-on. Period.
Yeah.
And
Well, it sort of depends. I think you're talking about creativity as well as just
no, more technical by nature.
you're
Let's
just talking about time actually
yeah.
spent.
You go for 3 hours to your studio. How much of this do you really paint?
Oh,
You
I
need
see.
to figure things out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And lucky for me, I was so eager on my way to the studio that by the time I get to the studio, I'm kind of clear enough to at least start immediately.
Okay.
So, um, in the early days, I used to smoke, drink coffee a lot, so all this, and music, and so I would go to the
Yeah.
studio, I smoke a cigarette, I make coffee,
Listen
I
to
put the
music.
music,
Yeah.
I stretch, I try to figure out the strategy, and I said,
Make some
shoot,
phone
half an hour went
calls.
by.
Yeah.
Half an hour,
Yeah.
and then I tricked myself into describing myself what it is that I didn't do in half an hour. That's actually another interesting aspect. And I
What
realized
you
that I
could have
can
been
lay
doing.
most of the foundation for what it is that I had in mind to do in this half an hour. Now, I would pause and be quiet and say, that's a lot
Yeah.
to do and a lot to miss on. I mean,
Miss out on.
miss out on, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, who's going to teach us to behave like this? That's my point.
Well, I can tell you, I've been doing some reading on a book about brain function and how your brain works and the parts of the brain, and um, there's the frontal cortex, which tells you uh, you've got a decision that has to be made, and here is your options. If you hang around and play music and listen to smoke cigarettes and drink Coca Cola, you'll accomplish this. If you stop and you'll enjoy it and it'll be comfortable. On the other hand, if you go over there and start mixing the paints up and get the drop cloth out and get the brushes cleaned out and you get you know you'll it'll be hard work but you'll accomplish more. And the point I'm making is that doing the harder thing generally results in more reward later on. You go home and somebody asks, "What'd you do today?" And you go, "Oh, I finished a beautiful painting," or you say, "I sat around and listened to music and drank a lot of Coca Cola." Uh, you're not going to feel as good about the Coca Cola as you would about the finished painting, and it's going to make your brain healthier, happier. But at the time you're drinking the Coca Cola and smoking the cigarettes, it's terrific.
But still, I'm going back to the question of who's going to break the news to us. Apropos, um, listen, um, I'm going to teach you everything that I'm going to teach you that you expect from me, but I'm going to leave some room for improvisation, then I will approach to you and say, don't sweat it out too much or something like that. If you hear me say that, don't be surprised because I'm your professor and I'm your idol or whatever it is. I'm going to come and suddenly tell you, hey, snap out of it, okay? Something to this effect. Alan Plans used to tell me, but he told me initially, he arranged the reading for me at Canyo's bookstore, which was unheard of for me
Yeah.
in 1989 or
Yeah.
90. Yeah, I wrote poetry, but I didn't think I deserved to stand there and read 10 poems.
Sure.
I thought maybe a poem, if I'm lucky, 2 poems.
Yeah.
And then he comes and breaks the news to me and said, I arranged a reading for you and you're going to go and read. I said, I didn't think it was like I'm the featured reader. When I realized that, I couldn't understand how he arrived to the conclusion that this is an okay thing, that this is called for. So I was verbal with him and I was trying to. So you know what he told me? I'm trying to get information out of him. What's going on? How come? And he said, listen, when you go out there, there's only one thing you should keep in mind. Read loud so everyone can hear you. Out of all the things,
Well, he knew that you had what he knew the people would like.
I know, but still, I was dumbfounded. I'm asking seriously. I'm expecting answers. I'm not getting them, but I'm getting one response that just says, "Okay, okay, I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna shut up, and I'm gonna keep to myself, and I'm gonna digest what he said because it's fantastic. I didn't see it coming."
Yeah.
Because he said you can be the best poet in the world. You go out there and people need to tell you we can't hear you right there. It's somewhat of a calamity.
It's a non-starter.
Yeah.
You haven't even left the barn yet.
You cannot recuperate from that.
Yeah,
Or even if you do, you're in a disadvantage already.
It's like showing your paintings in a dark room.
Well, with the painter, it's easy. In the dark room, probably look more beautiful.
Yours, maybe.
Thank you.
Okay.
I take it as a compliment, by the way. Even though
fine, if that's what you'd like, then you got it.
You see, I'm nice to you, even though you didn't bring me chocolate.
I didn't bring you anything.
No, you brought yourself and the painting.
Don't worry, I brought a painting.
Here you go.
I brought a painting.
The painting looks like a dark chocolate. That's good.
Yeah.
But going back to the gestures and the intended meaning that serves as a title, subtitle, as a guideline, as a finger that points and shows you the way, the one that you trust. So, how much of an awareness is there, and how much of compliance is there on the behalf of this awareness? That's what I want to hear from you.
Okay, you're asking. Someone's pointing the way for you. Someone's pointing you in a direction, and how much awareness is involved on my part when I am being pointed in a new direction.
Yeah, or to see it happening when it's happening and to realize that it's happening in the nature of it, and to be willing to say, yeah, I'm definitely going to relate to it and react immediately accordingly. So that means when I see that, as opposed to your other paintings, you're detail oriented, your academia, your also with the experience with groups, with people, with teachers, with mentors, um, also education, official education, being conservative to a certain degree, even though experimental and modern. And then you come with this. Um, so I need to automatically, is that what I believe, to look for who I know that you are in that new endeavor.
Yeah.
And I see.
Yeah.
But I want to hear from you
Okay.
what it is that I see in that different thing, the usual person that you are, the usual great artist that you are.
Okay, well, it's good. I'm glad you asked that, and I went through some of that this weekend. I went up to Boston, and I took a workshop with two painters that specialized in snow painting, outdoor landscape snow painting, and they combined experience probably close to 100 years of outdoor painting like that, and on the one hand, I was impressed with their discipline and their strength that they could stick with it. On the other hand, what I was not impressed with was the spontaneity, excitement.
You were not impressed by?
I was
In,
not
what
impressed.
do you mean by saying that?
Well, they have done this so many times. And granted, it was a workshop. They're demonstrating for me their skills so that I can learn from them. But uh, they've painted hundreds, maybe thousands of similar paintings over the years. And they've reached a level of competence which is undeniably at the highest levels of that profession. However, uh, we talked about the joy of painting, and one of them said to me, "Bob, the word pain is right there in painting. You know, it's not supposed to be fun and games. We're a professional level here. We are working on our skills."
But maybe this is his way of telling you, I do it when, when I'm in an intimate position with myself alone. Of course, I'm enthusiastic. But here I don't feel like I'm obliged or need to show enthusiasm because I'm going to deliver knowledge to you. And the
That's
enthusiasm I keep to myself when my precious time of painting is on.
okay.
Can that make sense?
Yeah, perhaps. But on the other hand, my friend Mark, who's I've said to you before, said to me, he said, uh, "Bob, if you're having a good time while you're painting, you're probably doing it wrong."
Yes.
That's what he said to me.
And I was trying to forget that actually because it's not good for me
Exactly.
to believe that it can
I've
be
told you
right.
that before. But you know, so the answer to that is, am I having more fun doing this kind of work? Is it more enjoyable, spontaneous? Is it exciting? Uh, it is exciting to challenge myself in a new dimension, in a new, flat surface, black and white paint. That's exciting. That's fun. That's different. On the other hand, I have in my mind a goal. I'm trying to create a finished product that has a uniformity of texture, uniformity of white and black. It's actually hard to make things completely white and black. They just tend to, uh, they're things that are
They
not
tend to make
uneven.
you wonder about the nature of white and the nature of black, which is like everything there is.
Yeah, it's
One is the complete lack of, one is the complete unity of.
yeah, and my goal was to make it as black and white as it can be, but shades of gray just keep presenting themselves. If you're not pulling a line very cleanly, you get a little overspill, and that's a little less black than the 4 or 5 layers of black that you were trying to go over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The white starts showing through the black, or the black shows through the white, whatever it is. It requires discipline and concentration
Yes.
and technical skills that I've developed over years and years of painting. But uh, and that in itself, I enjoy. I just enjoy the discipline, the technical skills, the knowledge of the materials, and the product, the final product.
But going back to the one who gave the workshop that you just mentioned, maybe they were concerned that if they were to show supposedly enthusiasm, they will find it harder for them to transfer information than to share with you and to enlighten you,
Uh-huh.
because there's no room for that in their eyes because it takes away from the task at hand. There's a project here,
I
so
understand
maybe
that
they
too.
can be adamant or
Serious,
yeah, or,
yeah,
yeah, and say, this is the measure. This is how we measure our um, how
success.
successful we are and all this.
Yeah.
But since you spoke about that, as I was waiting for you, I just completed a small poem, and I wanted to say in more ways than one. This is this is willing it this way, kind of thing, and forcing the surface to accept while you realize that there's no need to force it because it cannot do anything about denying your gesture of making it happen.
I mean, the surface can't fight back.
Yeah, no, not even it's not even remotely possible because
Yeah.
it belongs to you to begin with wholly and fully.
Okay.
And it goes without saying. So when you start the first sentence, you know that there's that point of impact wakes up the memory of the potential objection kind of thing, and that memory will make it as submissive as it should make it, because the memory is powerful and the memory was placed by you ahead of time. So therefore this poem is possible, and
Let's hit,
can
let,
be was possible yesterday and can be and will be tomorrow. So
let's
it
hear
says
that poem. Come on.
even more. Even
Okay,
has a
I'm listening.
title. Even has a title.
It
Can you
already has a
believe?
title.
Yeah.
You gotta go ahead.
Even more. Yeah. Did I?
That's great. Thank you. Leave it just like that. You're done. Don't touch it.
Wait. Where is it? Oh my God! I think it's. No, I didn't want. Wait, what's going on?
We get that with painting all the time. When you're with your group of friends and they look at your painting and they go, "Don't touch it. It's done. You're finished. Don't do anything."
Yeah.
Or the other thing that your friends will say to you, "Oh, damn, you had a really good painting about half an hour ago."
About half an hour. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Maybe we should have a commercial interruption while you're looking
Um,
for that. And now a word from our sponsor, folks.
I'm looking for it suddenly. I have maybe 10,000
It, it,
pieces of.
it objected to your writing it,
Shit, the
and
heck.
it erased itself.
So this is. Okay. One last attempt. Am I doing something? Oh, I see. I see. I see. Okay. 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 Here we go. Now we're getting it because I pressed the button search, and it shouldn't be on while you're searching while you tell the phone to search. Anyway, even more. Nurture the wish born from love, once deprived, now growing within. Care for the little ones, exceeding expectations. Through daily words, you embody goodness, sharing unity's essence for the sake of more unity. With few words spilled, life's path merge into the goodwill of fading despair.
It's very nice. Very
So
nice.
and um, so there's certain techniques that you that
Say it again. Say it again. Read it again.
okay. Nurture the wish born from love. The title is even more.
Yeah.
Once deprived, now growing within. Care for the little ones, exceeding expectations. Through daily words, you embody goodness, sharing unity's essence for the sake of more unity. With few words spilled, life's path merge into the goodwill of fading despair. We were born to serve our little ones loyally.
Isn't that a poem about your kids?
Yeah, but it's but the thought that came to my mind and made it possible because it came like nurture the wisdom
Unity.
of that wish, because it's wishful thinking for the most part.
But it's a
Because
group thing. It's about a group. It's
yes,
about
and
being part of something
yes,
and taking a little bit from other people in
yes,
the group and giving a little to people in the
and that
group.
group, if your husband is a wife, as there is their kids, and you have three different worlds here, and it doesn't matter how much you unite, because I'm talking about unity. And look what I said, and I emphasize it here, that sharing unity's essence for the sake of more unity. I mentioned that twice.
Yes, yes,
So which I don't really have to. It's an unnecessary line there.
yes.
But it's necessary only because two reasons. One, I need a fourth line, and second one, it really is called for to begin with.
Sure.
But anyway, so you're saying, okay, a second ago it wasn't there.
And then it's there. Now it's interesting. I wanted
In
to.
its entire glory, I mean, it's there, not just there.
It's there. It's forever there, and it may or may not, uh, you know, be repeated many times or at all. But it is. It's been created and it's there, and you'll have a permanent bond with that. So I just wanted to you say how important uh, I've been thinking of how much I've been thinking about groups and uh, a guy passed away very recently, Gene Samuelson.
Yeah, I know him. I know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the founder of our Wednesday group of painters, along with Frank Sofo. And Frank Sofo passed away about half a year ago, and the two of them were instrumental in uh, creating a lot of painters, a lot of people who painted because they made that group available. And the group was the way in which a lot of people who are afraid of individual efforts were able to join with other people like minded with similar levels of previous experience and feel comfortable and start their career in art and in painting. And so
Yes, but
that's
speaking
one of
of
the reasons why
enthusiasm,
it was so important to
it's
me.
interesting that you should mention it because I know them somewhat intimately, both of them,
Yeah,
and I had encounters with them here and there, up and down,
yeah.
and because Frank, so far I always thought, I counted him as a capable one, an able one.
He's very talented.
Also, so maybe I set myself for a disappointment when it came to thinking that if I attempt to dialogue with him, it will be a successful, meaningful one, which wasn't,
No,
because there was, and I remember again. So is it is it the necessary self-imposed lesson to maybe understand that it's really crucial to get rid of our ego, or at least to a certain degree? Uh, Even though it's a given, it's a no-brainer, but still, it's difficult. And you sometimes you want to forget because you want to forget because it's difficult. You want to stick to your ego because it's easier. But then
bingo.
he comes to my show, so he comes to my exhibition, and he's one of the few that I noticed because okay, Frank is here. He walks around, and I realize that I'm filtering his action through my ego.
You're judging your insides by his
Yeah, and
outsides.
I'm judging him by at the end of the day
And
doing it. So it's
contempt.
back and forth, back
Yeah,
and forth, back and forth,
yeah.
back.
And you haven't said a single word.
Yeah, well, no single word, but he said everything he could say.
Yeah,
And I said, why is he, I'm sorry, why
yeah.
is he, why is he canvassing through my art?
Uh huh.
I mean, why is he just washing his path as if he's gliding on water, like, whoosh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know, I think it
Water
is,
skiing
yeah,
past your artwork.
why isn't he stopping for a second? Like, oh, wait, this piece that he's standing in front of now.
It's not his thing.
Why? I
No,
don't think I failed.
it's not you personally.
Yeah, but wait. So then, and then without me saying anything, he comes and he says, "Nice, very nice." And that really angered me. And then I said, "Why am I so angry?" Because
If he had
because
said crap, you're crap,
no,
you would have been happy.
I don't think I will ever go to a solo exhibition with a friend that I think is a good artist and also say nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
I know
hoping
that's not a
I was
compliment.
hoping that someone,
That is an
especially like him, would
that
say,
is an
"Hey,
insult.
listen, I noticed that there's a trend here that is similar to what I saw in the early stages when you started painting, and there's some more depth because you acknowledge a little more kind of technical
Yeah,
capabilities.
anything.
So about this piece, by the way, there's some questions that things like that. It's just a
Oh,
shorty.
sure. You
Okay,
know, the word nice actually was an insult. It originally created, it's like, oh, that's too nice. That's
yeah,
nice. You know,
yes,
it's nobody really wants it. It's nice,
yes,
you know, but it's since become a compliment.
but
It's supposed to be.
the dialogue between us was that he came to all of my shows. Sometimes he came and it was exactly 20 seconds and he's out.
Oh boy.
Okay, and then so one day, God bless his soul, I like him. I think he's a great artist anyway. And
Yeah.
I had a solo exhibition of his here.
Okay.
I showed about 60 paintings of his after he passed away.
Wow.
Uh, so I came to him and I said, Frank, what's up with your art? And he said, what do you mean? I said, when are you going to snap out of it a little bit and give us what we deserve to get from you? Like this, I had a conversation with him. Well, I was more like a monologue,
Yeah.
you know, because, oh, it's Frank Sofo. Of course.
You
3 miles
recognize it right
away,
away.
I saw it. I knew it was yours. I
Yeah.
saw it was yours. It was like I couldn't see a painting. I could see your name, Sofo. The name was so overwhelming, I couldn't see the painting.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's not bothering you. Not because this is criticism, because this is an acknowledgement of something that I can share with you and say, you know what? If it was me, probably I would go to the studio and say, friggin' A. Yes, correct. Now
Yeah.
let's start the real work. Let's really toil, let's slave, let's feel the pain even more so, like you say, unity and even more unity,
Yeah.
pain and more painful and more pain and more. Yes, it's okay, indulging in this,
Yeah.
figuring out the real price that we need to pay after things are initiated when we
Uh-huh.
get home. So while we're trying to relax, we allow that real pain to come in because it will be less painful, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
But
lucky for
did
yeah,
he
but
ever
luckily
try
for me,
something?
yeah, but luckily for me, I
Yeah.
didn't make it as long as it sounded now. It was very short.
Yeah. It
It
was
was like ta
yeah, a
ta
little.
pam,
Got it.
and he was laughing. I was laughing, smiling, whatever.
Yeah. I can imagine.
He did or he didn't do. I felt like I did what I. And with Gene Samuelson, um, I valued him as an artist. I think he was a incredible addition and contributor to our.
Community of art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being in the board of the Artists Alliance for many years, everything and all that. But with him, I felt like I remember one day he was always nice in saying hi. I said, so one day I said, Gene, don't pretend with me. So he's looking at me and he said, what do you mean? I said, just don't pretend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I left it at that. And I left it at that. It's
Shit,
because
man.
listen,
You can't do that to somebody.
no. What if I was if
What's
well,
wrong with
okay?
you?
Tell me the continuation of it. What am I?
I don't even remember what did you say to him?
You can't
Whatever.
even remember what I said. And
I
you're like,
can't because it was so ridiculous. What did you say? What's your story or
come on,
something?
no, don't pretend with me.
Don't pretend with me.
What did I mean to say?
I know what you meant to say.
What? Tell me.
I know, but you
Well,
got to.
if I say hi, Bob, and then you say, don't pretend with me.
Well, that's another story. But I think what you were talking about was, you know, uh, Gene, I want to see the real you. I want to find out, what is motivating you? Why? What's your latest painting? What you're doing? What's going on? And you know, when I knew Gene, he was not in his most productive years. He didn't do a lot of paintings. He came every Wednesday and he was with our group, but he was getting
But every
slowed
painting he
down.
made was a successful painting.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
They were like what I would consider rather quick watercolor sketches. I didn't see him slaving, laboring over a large canvas with great detail, using oil, doing, redoing, really applying himself. So to me, when you say "don't pretend with me," you're saying, uh, you know, I need to see more out of you. I want to see more out of you. I want to see the real, what you're capable of, what the complete Gene Samuelson is, and I I would understand that if that is what in fact you're saying to him, because um, I I saw a guy who loved art and loved people. He was a very nice man, and he had a good sense of humor, but he uh, liked being in the art world probably more than producing art, from my opinion. I did not see a lot of production out of his work, and that might be where you were coming from when you said what you said to.
Yeah, it's more complex. It's more like um, a language um, Legos kind of thing, that has a deep past and and a hugely potential, future, but not with him. But it's good to remember them. It's good to remember their contribution to our community and all this. But
I also wanted to talk a little more about other groups. You know, when you look at art movements and breakthroughs, that when you had groups of people working together to create breakthroughs, like the abstract expressionist group. You know,
yeah,
whether it was our buddies as Pollock and de Kooning and Hoffman, but there was another group, Robert Indiana, Ellsworth Kelly, Agnes Martin. They worked just before Andy Warhol's period, and together they created, that Jasper Johns was kind of part of it. Robert Rauschenberg was part of that
mm-hmm,
group,
mm-hmm.
and it was a very interesting transition from the abstract, the AbX movement into the pop culture that became Warhol's world. But it was, you could see the connections
Yeah,
between the two, and but they worked together, and they shared the same studio down in Coente Slip in Lower Manhattan, which is now gone, but it was basically the Wall Street area. But yeah, I always find those groups fascinating, and like the Ninth Street Women, whether it
yes,
was Helen Frankenthaler and Paul, Krasner and de
yes,
Kooning,
yeah, yeah.
those that group down there as well.
But you know what? Interesting and what really defines throughout that grid that you just introduced to us is that they didn't feel like they have to resolve issues completely before they can move on. That means they
Yes.
talk about that concept and that they believe that just by talking about it, it's being formed. It's not like they have to be official about, okay, let's see, we need a certain amount before we can move on. No, they made it their business to have it as a part of their discussion and often enough. And then they knew that, and again, they couldn't afford to, they didn't even know the meaning of the word dwelling.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
were like,
Moving
and
on.
also you would never see suddenly, let's say, de Kooning arguing with Jackson Pollock, and then de Kooning says, "You and your stupid drip and splatter pieces.
No,
What do you know? You don't know
I'm
nothing."
sure they did after a couple cocktails,
No,
though.
no, no. They wouldn't. They
Yeah,
wouldn't. There's after a couple of cocktails, we'll have more respect to each other.
yeah.
But what I mean, you wouldn't see Jackson Pollock approaching de Kooning and say, "You and your stupid."
Well,
Well, what is it? What is it? I could never. Even if I don't even want you to explain to me. There's nothing there. You wouldn't hear that.
I would like him. I'd like to hear that if they were having a good conversation like we are right now.
Yeah,
But if he was
but
mad at him, I wouldn't want to
they
hear
were,
it.
but they
If
were
they didn't like
so
each
much
other,
more capable
I
than
wouldn't
we
want to
are.
hear it.
You're
Yeah,
talking about the greats,
yeah.
greater than you and me combined. They didn't have to
But
be
yeah,
reassured by a monologue or a dialogue. But even though it was there,
but they were inspired by each other.
of course.
He might have in his mind hated it, but he go, man, there's something about that splatter that I just love, or there's something about that de Kooning's crazy broken up. I love that, and they fed off of each other just the way the people down in the
Well,
in the
what made it
Coente slip
possible to
being together. The problem is
it's
going
called
off by
respect,
yourself.
respecting
We
each other.
talked about the echo chamber, locking yourself in some room somewhere and never getting any outside information, just hearing yourself over and over again
Yeah,
is I don't think very healthy or inspirational. You just rehash the same old thoughts over and over. You got to get new stuff. You got to get new influences. You got to get new points of view. People expressing their like I look at your stuff and I think, man, I love the way he has created those layers. It's just he's got something magical going on. I feel I can step through that opening there. There's something in it, and if I can, if I could capture that in my style of painting, even if I could change my style of painting to capture that same feeling,
yeah,
just the feeling that there's something beyond the canvas. There's something in that canvas
yes.
that I got to get to. I would have, I would have become, I would have done, I would do it all the time. It would become what I am in my painting.
And maybe you're already doing it without knowing that you're doing it, and it will become more and more evident.
But maybe somebody else is capturing some of that thinking
Exactly. In
just
your
because
work,
I'm looking at my work. But
yeah,
without seeing that in your work, just seeing my own work over and over again, I'd become like those guys this weekend that I said I didn't feel were enjoying themselves. They were just doing what had to be done to accomplish the
And
goal of
apropos what
teaching.
you're saying, this is my latest painting.
Yeah,
And it happened on the behalf of some kind of a moment with my daughter, with my 10-year-old daughter. And
beautiful.
I was about to put her to sleep,
I can't
and then I said, "Did you brush your teeth? Did you go to the bathroom?" And the answer was yes. And then we went, and she asked me something about art, because I gave her projects and everything
remember.
and tasks. And then I started answering, and then I said, "You know what? Forget about it. Let's go down to the studio for a minute before I put you to sleep." I took a 3x3. I opened it, and I answered her on the canvas. I did 3 applications right away in less than 1 minute. And she said, "Papa, wow." I said, "Do you understand what I'm trying to say?" He said, "Of course, Papa." And then we went, I put her to sleep. And then I was discussing that with her.
That's beautiful.
And it just sent her to sleep like so easily and so smoothly. But that what became out of it. So I took
That's
that.
not less than a minute.
No, that's not less than a minute. But
No. Oh,
the
that came out
foundation,
of it eventually.
yes, the
Yeah.
3 layers. And then I kept on showing her every step I took. I
Yeah.
said, "Look what I did today. Look what." And she's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well,
why there is
you created the dimension that ball is floating in space. That ball, you could put your hand in there and walk around behind it and uh, feel it. Its
yeah,
presence.
yeah.
But that's your skill. That's your
I call it ugly
40 years
perfection.
of experience. What do you call it?
Ugly perfection.
Ugly perfection. Sums up. I don't want to say what I
No,
was
no,
thinking.
no, no. Tell me something, because it's
No,
like
no, no, no.
planet Earth is so perfect and so round, and then it bumps into this thing awkwardly spinning around itself.
That's planet Earth may look one way to people from outer space, but that's the way it looks like for people who live on Earth.
On Earth, yeah,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the point of
Who
view
live
of
in New
Earth.
York City.
Yes,
It's
yes,
that's what the
exactly.
planet looks like to
So,
people.
but now I already in doing my number 4.
You already on number 4?
Oh yeah, because I got this was revealed to me, and I said to space or to God, "Say no more.
I like the
Thank
black
you."
outline. I like the black outline. It gives it the depth.
Yes,
It gives it
yes.
the separation.
And it's just like here, I just was trying to find a way to hide it just enough,
Okay.
because at first it was too evident, and suddenly it feels like it's showing depth, but it's
You
pushing
gotta,
you away from
you got to
it.
work with it. Work until
Yes,
push and pull until it's
but
where
at the
it should
crucial
be.
stages, I was really mindful of the decisions that I'm making in order for it to come
Good.
out like this.
Yeah.
And that was something that I wasn't encountering so much before. So I capitalized on
A
it.
little more discipline, a little less
Yeah,
spontaneity.
and also I went to my collection of canvases, and I said, "God, please tell me that I have at least 5 3x3s here." And I had more than enough. I separated them. I opened all of them, and it's there. You know what I mean?
You work on them at the same time?
No, not on the. I mean, what I do is I always work on a second one,
Start a
because
second one before you finish the
I
first?
start the first one 4 layers,
Yeah.
and with the color of the fourth layer, I start as the first
Layer, the
color
second.
on the third one. Because if it all but then after 4 5 layers in the second one, I introduce the second one to a color that won't show up, won't appear in the one before. So there's always a color or
Okay,
two
sure.
that suddenly out of nowhere comes. So there's a similarity, but then you say, "What is this like sky blue they're doing?"
But the intention is to show them together all the time? No, you're going to sell them one at a time to
Well, I mean, if I
individuals.
was to put a show together, it's going to be in relationship to one another, but not necessarily in proximity to one another. But the point is
Not
that I
required.
capitalized. I trained myself. And do you think it's fair enough to say, or do you think sometimes I feel like I'm cheating, even though it's me who's doing? If you're doing the cheating, you can't cheat doing the cheating,
You're cheating yourself.
because you're painting. Even, let's just say you imitate another artist completely.
Uh-huh.
You cannot be, that cannot be considered as cheating, because Cheating maybe is summoning another artist to do the work for you, and then you come and do, and the other artist say, "Come, please do just one stroke of black here, so we can say at least you did something," and sign.
That's an area that I've been thinking a lot about lately too, because one of the jobs we had bad weather over the snow painting weekend, and so we went in the studio and we copied two of the people copied a snow painting that someone else had already done, and his came out beautiful. I mean, it was a really lovely painting, and I said, well, what's the rules about copying someone's painting and selling it as your own? And the reality is, it's been done since the beginning of painting. That was the thing. The painting itself was the inspiration for many other paintings. So
Also, if you
your comments, is like, uh, do you wholly ever own anything, or is it really the product of years and years of what other people have accomplished, and you have, you're standing on their shoulders to paint your painting, you know?
and you know what, and I'll add to it, no matter what the reason is that caused you to go the route that you chose to go, and to include, like you say, and of course, that you need to bring yourself into it from yourself, genuine and everything. We heard enough of this. Of course, we know that.
Of course.
But what kind of an ability and how fast it will take place and how successful we're going to be, that's a whole different story. Things can take forever. And we need to take it at face value. So if I was, let's say, in 1997, I had my first show. So 98, 99 were two crucial years because I, uh, I immediately knew that in order to cover my um, to hide my low self-esteem and to feel that I'm like the number one loser in the room, full of important, smart, successful, talented people, which it was like
Self-confidence.
this, yeah. And even though I didn't agree with myself, but I couldn't help it. That's the way I felt.
Uh-huh.
So I said, okay, I'm going to bring dimension, size into the equation. I think that would be a great way to stop the crowd from crushing me and destroying any potential that I have within, that I would never be able to come back from it and reintroduce myself to that. I believed in that, really, for real. So in 98, 99, I went and I bought just drop cloth,
Yeah.
12 ounces, primed them, painted them, something I knew how to do,
Yeah.
rolling, everything.
Well,
Suddenly it's there, and I look at it, and so now I say, my God, I multiplied my obstacles and challenges instantly. Now, instead of having a 4 by 5, I have a 4 by 15. Why did I invite that?
uh-huh.
What was I thinking? That the larger it is,
Grandiosity.
yeah. But so then slowly but surely I realized no matter what I'll do, the size will strike people first.
Okay.
They won't go to subject matter when they see a 4 by 15.
Yeah.
They will say, "What's up with that?" So the first reaction will not include any criticism. It will just be an expression of
It's like you got to turn the speaker up in your poetry reading, right? If they don't see it, they don't hear they're not going to know it. So bang, you get their attention first, and then you sell them with the true Haim magic in there.
yes. So I did choose a route of like my bicycles era,
Oh
a grid of bicycles, whatever it was,
yeah, yeah.
something weird that I created in my mind. In my mind, it was solid and clear.
Remember that they used to have a guy. He would he'd have paint on the floor, and he'd ride a bicycle through the paint and then over the canvas, and he would like ride his bicycle through different color paint over the canvas and leave the tracks all over the canvas. Forgot who that was. That was a guy.
So many that use brooms and bicycles and
Yeah,
tires, and
yeah.
I was more like, okay, uh, I'm going to reveal all my insecurities by burying them there, somehow, and then just like revealing a bit of it and hoping hoping for the best. But what stood
that's
for
for
me,
everything.
no, no. But the thing is, personally, I'm saying it okay, because I speak about my experience. So what it did to me is telling me that I'm in control. No one else is here to make decisions.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter what's going to happen. It's going to be my own beginning, middle, and end.
yeah.
Past, present, future. All this under my control. I can dismiss this and just make it go away, introduce yellow into the black, make the black disappear with red, whatever it is.
Well,
All
that's
the games
called.
in the world.
I would call that courage. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of people that don't have that.
But my question is it legitimate enough to come to the conclusion that hardly anyone in the world does what you do? Is it a constructive way
Uh,
to enhance and to improve your
yeah, well, absolutely.
self-esteem?
Every human is unique, but there are millions, and I might say billions, of humans that are so very close together that uh, it's hard to distinguish one from the other. So, in other words, um, yes, each little mark I make on the table is my own. However, they blend into this world right now. There's probably 1,000 guys who just made very similar marks on the table
Yes,
themselves.
yes.
That's just the
So,
way it is.
but I forgot to mention one other thing that was incredible because first and foremost, I was a poet. I always wrote poetry. My sister was a poet. My father, when my sister wrote her first book and published it, he was just like unbelievable. He was like a party with the book with roses,
He was
welcomed
happy.
everyone,
I wasn't sure whether
and
you were going to
forced
say he was
everyone,
mad or
everyone
he
that
was
came
happy.
before they allowed them to enter.
Yeah,
He gave him a book with a rose, and he said, "You're gonna have to buy it."
yeah.
And he forced everyone. I think he sold 50 books, and my sister and I was like struggling with my dear sister. You and your stupid poems, man. Like
Come
it's,
on,
I don't
get
know why
with
I'm
it.
so annoyed every time. I know you write well and you're a good poet, but what's up with my? Why am I annoyed?
Uh-huh.
I know. And she said, "Well, why don't you go and try and write a poem, and then you get the answer." I went into the room and I came up with 3 poems, and I handed it to her, and I said, "I listened to your advice," and she read it, and the only thing she said that determined my
Let,
path,
let me guess. That's nice, right?
she said
The
it in a
Frank
different
Sofo
way.
line.
How will she say it in a different way?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
She
that's
said, "Haim."
hi.
That's it. Once.
It's unique.
Haim. No, no, she said nothing. She said, "Haim."
Yeah. So you liked it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I started writing in a frenzy, a couple of months, and obsessively showing her poems. And she kept on saying, she said, "You're suppressing me." Well, I'm amazed. I don't know. And until today, she talks to me like that. But no matter what kind of childhood I had, which wasn't so lovely and lovey-dovey, but one thing I can tell you, high tolerance for poetry.
Yeah.
High tolerance. My father used to build musical instrument, flutes, whatever it is, out of nothing. It's just because he was a natural piano player, never studied, doesn't know uh, melody, harmony, nothing, but he knows how to play. He can play. He's the kind of person like this. So high tolerance for poetry. What more do you want in your life than to grow up with this kind of tolerance? So I was strong with that. So when I had the show here in Studio 3 in 1999,
Yeah.
and I called it Two Worlds, I introduced my first major drip,
Yeah.
knowing very little about Jackson Pollock, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he was dripping, but I wasn't like examining his work. I wasn't like, oh, because he lives there and I live 2 blocks away in the Springs, as I'm entitled for anything.
No.
And I remember that one title that I gave to my first drip was Exiting Pinkyless.
Exiting Pinkyless.
Pinkyless.
Okay.
And
All right.
because
That
by accident,
conjures up an
yeah,
image. I'm not quite sure what, but I'm crying, not just because I'm shocked, but my eyes are tearing up.
suddenly.
Maybe I shouldn't cry.
But the logic of it was
Yeah.
that I made a mistake and I stepped on the canvas at the edge, and that composition was really wet, and I said,
Got
"Oh,
excited.
damn it, man!" And I jumped on one leg when I rinsed my foot,
Yeah, boy.
and but then I realized that my foot
Left a
have
mark.
left the pinky
It's like a signature.
missing
Left pinky
because
missing.
because the pink,
Oh, you were barefoot?
yes,
Okay.
and so
Left pinky missing.
yeah,
Excellent.
um,
Perfect.
but then
That's poetry, baby.
but my foot was pointing towards the center of the canvas.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you were entering.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I was exiting because the pinky wasn't there. Anyway,
You left your pinky on the
listen.
canvas.
It's my rationale. I
That's
play
a
with
beautiful combination. I love it.
Correct. So
It's
now I realize this is a title for my show.
wasn't there a painter like or Osorio who did stuff like that?
Yes.
Did he combine poetry and painting?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And every and then later on when I had a big show. Anyway, so when people came to the show, they said, Jackson Pollock. And I was like,
Who?
I knew who he was,
Yeah.
but I knew much less about the guy than everybody thought.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
That was when Norman Mercer said, "You're better than Jackson
Oh yeah, you
Pollock."
put his Max Jackson Pollock to shame.
Yeah.
But then after this show, because everybody that came said, "Oh, Jackson Pollock."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't know if it was a compliment or an insult. I wasn't quite sure. So I said, "I guess so." Whatever. That was my answer. I guess so. Um, I went home and I examined his work thoroughly.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Oh, my God, I am so doomed." I was so disappointed. It was just too much for me.
What? Because it's been done before?
No, but to the extent.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at it and I'm saying, wait a second.
Well, he used house paints.
Yeah, no, but when I mean the composition, suddenly I look at the composition and I think like this is my material that someone else portrayed already.
Oh yeah.
This is something I
You
understand.
got it backwards.
The problem is the tragedy was that I saw it clearly like you're an astrologer and look at the stars and all this,
Yeah.
and it really makes sense to you. Like my platoon leader in the army, man, he looks at the sky, he knows everything. You
Yeah,
never
yeah.
get lost. He's an almighty superhuman being.
Yeah.
He knows. I looked at it and it bothered me because I realized, wow, unbelievable.
Wow.
He took everything away from me.
Yeah. Well, on
He-
the other hand,
Yeah.
now you know that this is
But
your
wait,
starting point.
But just make it really short. How I
It's too late for that. No,
Yeah, I know.
Okay, go ahead.
So I say, okay, I'm going to create now drips and spills style Mizrahi,
Yeah.
the way I see it.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to abandon it for a couple of years. And I made large scale, day in and day out, day and night. And I dripped and I splattered and all the things that I thought that this is depriving me from doing or taking away from me, I managed to block it and I created the most incredible drips. One of which is hanging because I did 100 layers on it. And I left it by mistake, rolled somewhere, and I had to go travel. I came 2 months later and everything was crispy and cracking.
Fell off.
So no, it didn't fall.
Just cracked.
I stapled it to the beam of my studio and it's hanging for 20 years now there.
Wow.
But you can see. And I was looking at it and I said, okay, I reached my goal. If Jackson Pollock was here with me to see this point, he will definitely want to be my friend and say, what the heck?
Or he'd kill you.
Or kill me or get drunk or stoned or whatever, seek my
Sue
presence
you.
and
He'd
my
probably
company.
Sue you. Yeah.
But there was no doubt about it. And when I had Ernst Lucker, he's
Max Ernst's
no,
son?
Ernst Lucker is the guy that has the Play Art Museum in Berlin.
Uh-huh.
He lived here in he was #1 mentor of mine. I mean, he loved my drips.
Yeah.
He loved. And he came to my studio and looked at that piece. He said, Haim, you know what I'm going to say about that?
Yeah.
Way ahead of that master that we all worship.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so I abandoned it. Why? Because I didn't think that I deserved to uh, um,
You felt you
to
were
annoy the community with my attempt. It was like I said, it's
you were annoying
too
people.
close to home, too close for comfort. And this is what I thought for myself. Not that it was might not in reality what might not be that, but I just say I don't want to irritate the community.
By irritating you, you mean you
Let me
were copying Jackson Pollock and
Yeah,
removing some
so
of his.
miserable failing attempts of yours, and what are you trying to do exactly?
But people said they loved it. They liked it
Yeah,
better
no,
than
yeah,
Pollock.
I know, but it was just the thing with myself. But then I realized that I made the right decision because I really took that self confidence of being able to produce work like you do, and really a lot of them and fast, and still not compromise the integrity of each piece and what I'm doing. It immediately like a smooth transition into the other styles, the other opportunities, and just
Uh-huh.
in the back of my mind, I had this kind of experience that I already
So like
accumulated disproportionately.
the launching platform for the future.
And but I didn't abandon it. I came back to it after 5 years with vengeance, and I have some really beautiful trips that I care for a lot. And but what is that to tell us? That's the story that we need to hear ourselves telling ourselves, not others.
Yeah, well, it's you took me through your beginning stages of your career and what the importance of working large, and then researching and learning what the people who'd come before you had done, and then developing it into the next breakthrough level of your current career,
And
and
I
why
see
you're
that
happy
in
with it.
you, and I identified that with you. You a little much more conservative and but still you feel very comfortable to introduce modernism into your the equation of your um, tradition.
Well, I worked for years as an art director. I started out as a painter when I was young, and uh, I did a combination of abstract and representational work. But then I got into graphic design, where everything has to be lined up, everything has to be clean and sharp, and you learn to do things over and over again. Like your boss doesn't like it this way, do it again, clean it up. It doesn't. No, this layout, this composition is no good. Do it over again. Do it again, and you learn how to do everything. Whether you're selling ladies' lingerie or washing machines, you're you're still in advertising. You're still graphic designer. You're still making a pitch to the viewing public, and your viewer wants to see high quality imagery, art direction. And I learned how to do that over the years, uh, and not to be, hurt personally when somebody doesn't like my artwork, and learn how to be flexible enough to move from um, one technique to another in order to accomplish or to say something. And I was always I was always trained to uh, accomplish a goal. In other words, we were taught, if you're making stationery, you have to find something in the person who will be using the stationery, whose stationery it will be, how to uh, how to say something about the person that is positive and is um, personal about that person, that they will be happy to use that stationery, and people receiving the stationery as a letter in the mail will say, "Oh, that's from Jim Smith or whoever it's from,"
I
and
can't
say,
believe that we passed the hour, an hour and 5 minutes already.
"Oh, we're out of tape. We're out of tape. This is
No,
going to
we're
end
not
up
out
on
of
the
tape. It's
cut,
actually
cutting room floor."
it's like I cannot believe it's an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
uh, in any case, I think we kind of created the framework for that. And how about we meet again Friday? You want to come on Friday and kind of
Friday? Yeah, day after tomorrow.
yeah, because tomorrow I think it's going to snow or something.
Yeah, less than an inch.
Yeah, but
Sure.
anyway, let's make it Friday tentatively so we can really put a cap on it.
All right.
And we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this morning. February 19th, year 2025, here with the Hello Hello Show, and my friend slash artist guest, Bob Sullivan, is here with us.
Thanks,
Bob,
Haim. It's good to
thank
be
you
here
so much.
again.
And we didn't even scratch the surface, and it's over.
No. Good. Well,
I'm telling you.
another
Good job.
successful day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, as usual.